Imagine waking up to discover $8 million had vaporized with last night's sunset. Your once Trophy Bel Air palace, now a money pit, and the only address on your calendar is a muddy Cotswolds farm road thousands of miles from the studio gates that made you a star. That's the morning Ellen DeGeneres rolled into in early 2025, the glitter-slick talk show titan who once raffled cars and kindness bracelets on live TV, now praying the British rain will rinse her reputation clean. The numbers behind the panic are brutal. Viewers down more than 40%, sponsors skittering, and that Nutra-designed mansion relisted at a loss big enough to buy an entire season of giveaways. But before the exodus, there was a fairy-light kingdom. In 2003, network execs gambled on an openly gay comedian with sneakers for tap shoes and be kind for a battle cry. By noon each weekday, she pirouetted across living room screens like a pastel gale, convincing America that empathy could trend. Ratings soared, Oprah nodded approval, and corporate America lined up to sprinkle confetti on her desk. Over the next decade, the brand grew from show to label: Ellen Home Decor, Ellen Pet Food, Ellen Positivity, quoted on fridge magnets from Florida to Fiji. It felt unstoppable until the whispers crawled out from backstage. At first, the stories sounded like harmless Hollywood folklore. Don't chew gum near her. Don't sit in her chair. For heaven's sake, don't make eye contact in the hallway. Then actress Dakota Johnson's famous, "Actually, you were invited," exchange went viral, and the inside jokes crystallized into public suspicion. Staffers confirmed the eye contact rule was no joke. Social feeds that had once pumped out dance clips began clogging with anecdotes about tense rehearsals, tears in dressing room corners, and a smile that vanished the moment the red light died. The dam finally burst in July 2020. 47 current and former employees unloaded a war chest of accusations to BuzzFeed News: bullying, intimidation, even workplace harassment. Warner Media launched an investigation almost before the article finished loading. In a single week, the queen of daytime flipped from brand ambassador to PR bomb specialist. Watching the fallout felt like watching glitter scrape off a mural. Every twinkle turned out to be duct tape. Toxic workplace headlines metastasized into advertiser anxiety, and viewers followed the money out the door. Nielsen tallied more than 1 million eyeballs gone almost overnight. The core demographic of women under 54 cratered by nearly 40%. Daytime TV, usually measured in gentle slopes, doesn't do free falls. Yet here was Ellen plummeting. On-air apologies rolled out, laced with nervous chuckles, but the music cue sincerity felt as factory-stamped as her merch. The studio DJ hit play, the audience clapped on command, but the alchemy was broken. You can't choreograph warmth once the room has gone cold. By the end of 2021, even network brass admitted the unrecoverable nosedive. The host who once joked about running long now stared down an empty calendar. Behind closed doors, the business math turned savage. Ad packages shrank, affiliate stations preempted reruns, and the famously generous giveaway budget evaporated like confetti in sprinklers. In spring 2022, Ellen announced season 19 would be the last. Publicly, she blamed creative stagnation. Privately, insiders whispered that Warner execs had quietly advised, "Walk while you still can." Ratings finished the year a full 43% below pre-scandal levels, the steepest drop in modern talk show history. The moment the final episode's credits faded, a different hustle began. Real estate listings surfaced, hinting at a liquidation spree. The Montecito compound flipped, the Santa Barbara ranch offloaded, and finally the mid-century Bel Air icon relisted at a price guaranteed to bleed. By early 2024, Ellen and Portia de Rossi had inked an £18 million farmhouse in England's celebrity-dotted Cotswolds, trading Malibu surf for sheep pastures and, allegedly, a lower paparazzi density. A planning permission scuffle with local council proved she couldn't outrun headlines entirely, but it did reinforce the geographic finality of her retreat. Yet no one that famous simply fades. Audiences are conditioned to expect the comeback. By late 2023, faint rumbles of stand-up dates leaked onto comedy club blogs. Work-in-progress sets, insiders called them, but the subtext was clear. Test the waters, step back on stage, remind fans of the punchlines that built the empire. Netflix smelled opportunity and greenlit a 2024 special bluntly titled For Your Approval. Promotional copy teased a candid Ellen kicked out of show business, a self-portrait equal parts confession and defiance. That setup didn't land as softly as planned. The special's first preview clip dropped, and the tone, half martyr, half memoir, sparked bigger backlash than the apology tour. Pundits pounced, none louder than conservative firebrands Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly. Their Live TV takedown framed Ellen as the patron saint of double standards, a star shielded by progressive credentials, while lesser-knowns were publicly flogged for less. Using receipts, sarcasm, and the kind of monologue daytime would never air, they shredded her "I'm the real victim" storyline. By the time tabloids caught her slipping through Heathrow with rescue dogs and vegan luggage, the narrative had pivoted from scandal to exile. Some speculated she'd offload the rest of her U.S. holdings next. Others insisted the farmhouse was just a rebrand headquarters, a place to storyboard act too far from cynical Hollywood. What no one argued was that daytime's sparkle merchant had become its most cautionary tale. And yet, for all the wreckage, the story of Ellen's fall is only half told. The real twist unfurls when the studio lights dim and the pundits get personal, when the polite masks drop and the laughter is real for the first time in years. Because the roast Greg and Megyn served up wasn't about ratings or real estate. It was about what happens when Be Kind becomes corporate armor and the world finally taps it with a hammer. That's where we pick up next, in a showdown that turned an attempted redemption arc into primetime demolition. The Netflix stage looked almost familiar. Soft blues, tasteful lighting, the same sneakers tapping a nostalgic two-step. But the woman in center spotlight was not the Ellen who once ruled daytime. She leaned into the microphone, cracked a joke about parallel parking, then pivoted hard into a lament about being run out of Hollywood. Studio laugh signs flickered, yet the punchline felt brittle, and in that split-second TV critics sensed blood in the water. For Your Approval dropped worldwide on a Wednesday. By Thursday, opinion columns were tallying eye-roll counts. Megyn Kelly had hers cued by sunrise. On her show, she unspooled a highlight reel of former staff claims, punctuating each bullet with the same question: how does a billionaire who controlled every frame suddenly plead ignorance to the entire vibe of her own set? She compared Ellen's measured contrition to a sugar-coated audit. All line items, no liability. Listeners nodded along. The daylight had scorched the stage fog. Then Greg Gutfeld took his swing, and subtlety left the building. He mocked the choreography of repentance, designer sneakers sparkling under sad trombone lighting, apologies read off cue cards, the Oprah-esque "I'm still learning" mantra that somehow circulates only among the already rich. Gutfeld's thesis was simple. Ellen didn't face cancellation. She face-planted on her own marketing. His roast lines trended faster than the special itself, and the hashtag #BeKind backlash morphed into hashtag #BeReal overnight. While commentators feasted, Hollywood accountants panicked. The cross-promotional deals tied to the special evaporated. A sneaker company quietly delayed a limited edition drop. Streaming bundle banners featuring Ellen's back catalog were replaced with more algorithm-friendly stand-ups. Inside Netflix, viewership held steady, but the social sentiment dashboard bled red. Executives discovered the hard truth of modern fandom. Outrage reshares faster than inspiration. Back in England, Ellen doubled down on reinvention. Contractors swarmed the Cotswolds estate, adding yoga decks and a screening room for intimate test audiences. Locals grumbled about noise and traffic, yet council inspectors finally deemed the renovations architecturally sympathetic, a polite British way of saying not horrible enough to block. Portia, ever the interior design enthusiast, curated reclaimed beams and antique pews. The vibe was reclusive chic, monastery meets influencer. Yet the countryside calm was shattered each time U.S. late-night spliced Gutfeld singers into montage format. One riff compared the Ellen empire to a theme park of self-righteousness, where every ride exits through the merch shop. Another likened her apology tour to Oscar season campaigning, desperation disguised as grace. Viewers laughed because the metaphors cut deeper than the original scandal. They revealed a broader fatigue with performative virtue, a suspicion that kindness can be as commercial as cola. Sponsors sense the shift. Brands once eager to bask in midday sunshine now weighed the optics of partnership in a cultural moment craving authenticity. Even Ellen's long-running pet food line launched a subtle redesign, shrinking her face on the packaging and bumping up dog rescue imagery instead. It was damage control via graphic design, and consumers noticed. Meanwhile, ex-staffers found new platforms. Podcasts featured assistants recounting color-coded schedules and the dreaded Ellen walkthrough, a daily ritual where floor managers ensured nothing annoyed the host. Water label peeled off, thermostat exact, lighting at a warmth she called Tuscan morning. The stories weren't criminal, they were controlling. And that subtle difference amplified the outrage. Everyone expects entertainers to be demanding. Few expect the demands to masquerade as altruism. The meta-narrative soon outgrew Ellen herself. Cultural critics declared the collapse a pivot point, the death of mandatory niceness, a moment when audiences recalibrated sincerity detectors. Streamers scrambled to greenlight raw projects, documentaries on toxic positivity, dramas about fake gurus. The pendulum swung toward messy truth, and Ellen's fall became Exhibit A. Ironically, the only demographic still firmly in her corner was children. Rerun packages of her animated series Green Eggs and Ham held steady on streaming charts. Kid viewers didn't care about executive producer memos. They saw goofy voices and bright colors. Some parents emailed Netflix begging the platform not to yank the cartoon because the kids like the talking goat. In a twist of cosmic humor, the host known for adult-friendly dance memes retained her tiniest fans. Inside the farmhouse, Ellen watched the data. Those who know her say she shifted from denial to analysis, poring over sentiment graphs, cross-referencing clip virality. One confidant claimed she mapped an entirely new show concept on a whiteboard, this time unscripted, shot on location, nothing but candid kindness in foreign towns. Another friend doubts it will fly. Real kindness doesn't schedule a wardrobe fitting. As spring 2025 crept in, the Bel Air mansion returned to the market once more, price trimmed to $28.5 million, about $8 under purchase after fees. Real estate bloggers labeled the flip historic regret, but luxury agents whispered it would move. Scandal can't shrink square footage. Still, the sale symbolized the last severed tie to the City of Angels. Where does that leave Ellen? Somewhere between myth and mirror. She insists she was revealed, not erased, and she might be right. Her trajectory is a case study in brand inflation, how a core of real talent can be buried under merchandising until audience faith pops like a balloon. Greg and Megyn merely aimed the spotlight. The emptiness was self-made. In final measure, the empire's implosion offers a cautionary echo. Performative halos crack loudest. Audiences forgive mistakes quicker than they forgive manufactured innocence. A polite grin is no match for a camera phone in a backstage hallway. And when your mantra is be kind, every unkind rumor becomes a headline, every staff exhale a potential leak. Fame used to rely on distance. Today it relies on receipts. So, picture that aerial shot the drone loves, the Cotswolds fields stretching green and patient, a single farmhouse roof catching evening light. Inside, a megastar scrolls headlines, recalibrating image algorithms while sheep wander outside indifferent. Is that exile, retreat, or simply Act 3? The answer depends on who's holding the remote tomorrow. And that's the twist the story leaves you with. One woman's glittering fall, but also a mirror held to every influencer, CEO, and armchair altruist selling nice as a product. Because you can shut down a studio, sell a mansion, even hop an ocean, but you can't outrun an audience that's finally figured out the difference between a dance and a deflection. If that realization hits harder than any roast line, maybe the next time a celebrity waves a kindness banner, we'll remember to check what's printed on the back. Now, the stage is clear, the lights are off, and the final sound you hear is an applause. It's the echo of sneakers on an empty set, walking toward whatever truth waits outside. Drop your thoughts below, because the next reveal could be about the next hero you've already pinned a halo on.